All right, boys and girls, today's lesson is lesson 2-10, and we're starting to stretch our multiplication a little bit. We're doing a 1-digit by 3-digit multiplication. So what I want you to do first, is we're going to get right at it with the workbook pages, is I want you to turn to page 61 in your workbook, your activity book. And we're going to go right through this page together so you get a better understanding of things. We're actually going to go through the first 2 pages together. And hopefully by that time we'll be pretty good with 3-digit by 1-digit multiplication. So I want you to take a look at this, and it says use rectangles to multiply hundreds. You can use a model to show multiplication with hundreds. Study this model to see how we can multiply 7 by 300. Hopefully you can look at this and say, okay, here's my 7 on the side, and here's my 300 up top by doing 100 plus 100 plus 100. That equals 300. Then you know in each of these groups you have 7 times 100, 7 times 100, and 7 times 100. Okay? That'll give you 3 groups. If you look down here, 7 times 300 equals 7 times 3 times 100 equals 7 times 3 times 100. You take the 7 times 3 to give you 21, and you multiply it by the 100, give you 2100. Or if you want to just add all 3 of the 700s together, you know you have 2100. All right. So number 1, it says how many hundreds are represented in each column of the model? How many hundreds are represented in each column of the model? Well, this is a column, this is a column, and this is a column. How many hundreds are represented in each? There are 7. There are 7 hundreds in each. Okay. How does knowing that 7 times 3 equals 21 help you find 7 times 300? Well, you know 7 times 3 equals 21, and just by adding 2 more zeros of the 7 times 300, you're going to take the 21 and add 2 zeros to that, it'll give you 2100. Number 3, what property of multiplication is used in this equation? Well, this is called the associative property. I'll write that on there. The associative property, that's when you take the 7 times 3 times 100, and you put together the non-tens or the non-hundreds or non-thousands, and you put those together to make 7 times 3, and then you multiply it by 100. So if you were to sketch a model of 6 times 400, how would it look? I want everyone to kind of sketch their own model of 6 times 400 using rectangles, and then I'll show you mine. All right, so hopefully you did something like this, and you put 6 here, and then you broke this up into 4. They don't have to be perfect. You know what you're doing. So this would be 100, this would be 100, this would be 100, this would be 100. So you have a 6 times 100 in each of these, so it equals 600, 600, 600, 600. So then you would do this is where you would get you can either add it or multiply it, but 4 times 6 equals 24, so you know 4 times 600 should equal 24 with 2 zeros after it. So that's what this would equal, 2400. Hopefully you have something similar to that. All right, now I want to quickly talk about the place value method. I don't know if it's on this page. Let me see. Yes, it is. Okay. When using the place value method, it's very similar to what I just did. I want to take 4 times 237, and I want to draw my rectangle. And what I'm going to do is take 237 and turn it into 200 plus 30 plus 7. Okay? And multiply it by 4. So in the first box I'd have 4 times 200, second box 4 times 30, and the third box 4 times 7. Okay? 4 times 200 equals 800, 4 times 30 equals 120, 4 times 7 equals 28. And then you would add all these partial products on the side to get 800 plus 120 plus 28. You add it all together. 8, 10, carry the 1 equals 1008. And I did something wrong there. I absolutely did something wrong. That's what happens when I look at it and say that doesn't seem right. 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. Here I have 2 plus 2, not 8 plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4. And then I don't have that carry, so I have 8 plus 1 is 9. So 948. See what happens when you write sloppy and you think a 2 is an 8? That happens. All right, so I want you to realize what you did here. You did 4 times 200 here. You did 4 times 30 here. And then the last one, you did 4 times 7 here. Okay, so this is partial products. This is pulling out the place value and making sure you multiply each place value by the other factor, the small factor, the 4, the single digit factor. So what I want to do now is I want to bring up the next page. It's very similar to what we just did. It is exactly what we just did. So I want you to look at number 5. It says, what are the 2 steps used to find the product of 4 times 237 using the place value sections method? This is the place value section method. Okay? First thing you do is the first 2 steps are you find the area of each rectangle. That's the first step. Okay, that's what we did. We found the area in each rectangle. And then you add. Then add the areas. That's step 2. Alright. The expanded notation method is basically when you start drawing the lines. Hopefully you remember that from last time when you're drawing the lines. You're going to take 4 times 237, and rather than write in the box, what you're going to do is this has them drawing it on the right hand side with another 4. So you'll write an arrow 2 times the 4, 30 times the 4, 7 times the 4. And then if you wrote it off to the side, you should have 237 equals 200 plus 30 plus 7 times 4. And then you go through and you take 4 times 200, 4 times 30, and then 4 times 7. Make sure you line them up to add them all together. Okay, that was the expanded notation method. Okay, these are all very similar, and when it comes to test time, you're probably going to be able to just pick whatever one you want. I hope. So, next one, the algebraic notation method. This is one that confuses a lot of people. So don't get too confused by it. It's pretty simple. It just takes your 4 times 237, turns it into 4 times 200 plus 30 plus 7. You've done that. Then it takes 4 times 200 plus 4 times 30 plus 4 times 7. Basically what you're doing every time up there. So 4 times 200 equals 800. Add it to 4 times 30 equals 120. Add it times 4 times 7. Add it to 4 times 7 equals 28. Add them all together, you get 948. So what is the first step in all 3 methods? What do we do in all 3 methods very first? Okay? What do we do? Okay, take a look. What's the first thing we did here? We took 237 and broke it into 200 plus 30 plus 7. Next one, 200 plus 30 plus 7. 200 plus 30 plus 7. So that's what we're doing each time, very first. What we're doing is we're writing 237 in expanded form. So that is 200 plus 30 plus 7. Expanded form is very important when it comes to solving big multiplication problems. So this was our lesson today. If you can handle the 2-digit by 1-digit, you should be able to easily handle 3-digit by 1-digit, and so on. You should be able to handle 4, 5, 6. It doesn't matter what it is. Just understand that our extended multiplication facts, like 7 times 6 equals 42. So that means 70 times 6 will equal 42 with a 0. 700 times 6 will equal 42 with 2 zeros, and so on. Always look at your zeros. Okay, if you're able to extend your multiplication facts, here's your basic multiplication fact. When you extend it, you're adding zeros. Basically all you're doing. If you add a 0 on each side, then it bumps up to 2 more zeros there. Okay, so just understand that if you're able to do that, you should be able to have no problem with 3-digit by 1-digit multiplication. So what I want you to do now is I want you to turn to page 63, and I want you to work on 63 and 64 on your own.